let's talk about where does it come from, because it's very uncomfortable, it's very difficult, it's very unsatisfying, and it definitely destroys relationships or prevents relationships from forming. Lots of resentments can build up that you feel towards other people, but really it's also towards yourself. You're really struggling. There's a lot that you can become empowered about in order to take back your control in a relationship, but to be more balanced and be more fair in a relationship. But where this is coming from is a place that's very, very deep and very, very important. It will feel, and first, when you work through this, like you're being selfish, but I encourage you to push through it because it's really not. Taking care of yourself should never be seen as selfish. And anybody who treats you that way, that's the flip. Anybody who has a problem with you having a need or want or just expressing your view, they're basically telling you and letting you know that they're not the right kind of person for you. A lot of this has to do with where do we get our sense of validation? Am I okay? Am I good? Am I worthy? So we need to jump into that. Basically, generally speaking, when you have a struggle or an issue or a challenge that you're going through, there can be this tendency to let's fight it, let's attack it, let's hate it, let's get rid of it. The healthy approach that I think and what I found that really works is to say, wait a minute, this is the thing in my life. I'm a people pleaser. I'm doing people pleasing behaviors. I'm completely ignoring my needs and wants and not sharing in a conversation in the restaurant I'd like to go to, the movie I'd like to see. There's a reason that this is here. This is the tool that you found your way into, that you're using to deal with emotions, but basically by not dealing with it. And so we want to dive into it and we want to connect to it, want to build a relationship with it. That's going to be uncomfortable, but if you hear what I have to say, I'll give you some tips and tools for how to face it so that the more that you connect with this energy and these uncomfortable feelings that come up, the more secure, the more reassured you'll feel, the more comfortable you'll feel facing it. And this is the real key core point when it comes to healing and growth, which is, am I a facer or am I a avoider? Am I tuning into my feelings and connecting to them and learning from them, seeing it as a communication to me by my own inner child about unmet emotional needs? Or am I avoiding? And I would say the vast majority of people are avoiding simply because we get hit hard in childhood, school, growing up. We have unmet needs or experience things that were very uncomfortable. We don't really know what to do with it. But here you find yourself, as you're connecting to people or trying to relate to people, very hyper-focused on them, as if I think enough about what they're thinking and feeling, somehow I'll become a mind reader, right? It's not going to work. But I know you're doing it and it's very uncomfortable. And I just want you to understand, I understand where you're coming from. And if you stick with me to the end, you'll see that there's this huge, incredible positive that comes out of what you've been through. But this whole approach of prioritizing others is coming from a legitimate part. You're seeking something that you never obtained before, that you never got, and you continue to seek it externally. You're looking for security, reassurance, validation. You're looking for a sense, am I good, am I worthy, am I loved, am I valued? And this has a very deep source. And so what we want to do is we want to take people pleasing. I want you to be thinking about some of the moments in which you experience people pleasing. That's why I gave you some examples. But I want you to be thinking about those moments. I know it's uncomfortable, but the more you think about it, the more you realize that, wait a minute, that's not against me, it's on my side. All of those moments or triggers is really a part of you trying to say, hey, can we talk? I want you to think about like this. You ever notice how kids in the park, they'll fall off a swing, they run over to the parent that's sitting on the bench, they get a hug for 20 seconds, and they back off out and running. It's the same thing with us. We have an inner kid part. We have two parts, an adult part and a kid part. Until we're about 12 or 13, it was just that kid part, and we experienced some good things and some bumps in the road. If you find yourself as a people pleaser, when you take a look at the moments in which you experience the people pleasing in relationships and with your friends, what you're going to find is there underneath it, there's a collection of feelings that are insecure, unsure, needing reassurance, doubtful about your worth, about your value. And in response to that, you go seeking it externally, which is normal and natural when you're a small child. We come into the world looking to parents and the people around us, our friends, to get a sense of our worth and our value and how things go. And where we don't get enough of clarity and reassurance that we have worth and value, we spend the rest of our time throughout life continuing to seek it again and again externally, which is why, if you'll take a thought for a second about it, you'll probably tell me that many of your relationships, you have the exact same pattern of deeply pursuing people, ignoring yourself, feeling drained, feeling alone. Our approach is to say, well, let's start to connect with people pleasing. Let's start to get to know it. When does it happen? When does it occur? What was the most recent experience that you had of it? And what we want to do is to see that as an attempt to communicate with you. A part of you is trying to say, are we okay? The need for reassurance, the need to know that I'm good, worthy, valuable, deserving. There's nothing wrong with that need that you have. That's totally valid. The method of meeting that need method of meeting that need of reaching out to other people, trying to get them to say a certain thing or act a certain way or be in a certain way with us, and then I'll feel good about myself. That's where the problem is. That's where the issue is. And so it looks really amazing. People pleasers can come off as being really caring, loving people, given a tremendous amount. They're very comfortable. You're very comfortable putting yourself aside, ignoring your needs and wants, and showing up for another person. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you how that's an incredible trait. But right now, there's no you. And then your needs really go unmet. It's this attempt, it looks like a lot of giving and kindness to other people, but really it's a desperate attempt. I need you to smile at me, look at me a certain way, say the right thing, behave the right way, be happy with me, and then I can feel happy with myself. So start to flip this on its head a little bit. I want you to think about some of these moments. It's just in your mind. Consider some of these times in which you've experienced the people pleasing. And what we want to do is to face it and connect to it and learn from it. See it as a messenger. See it as an attempt of this kid part to talk to us. And what you'll find is that in those people-pleasing moments, there was a bunch of feelings and emotions. The problem is that you don't have emotional vocabulary. None of us do until we start to work on it. We've got about, probably you could tell me, I'm happy, sad, angry, tired. But get on over to Google Images, pause this video if you need to, search for feelings chart and start exposing yourself to feeling words. That's the game changer. Because instead of continuing to be an avoider when emotions come up, when situations come up, instead of that, you want to become a facer. You want to start to learn from the feelings that come up. And the basic core skill is, well, it's like, well, what do I do, right? You're wondering, what do I do now that I'm going to face my feelings? It's kind of overwhelming. Well, start to name them, get to know them. Allow yourself to develop an emotional vocabulary, which is an incredible skill. It's very easy to do, even if it's just a few seconds a day of tuning in, connecting, naming those feelings, getting to know those feelings. We need that information. But what happens is that very practice of not running from yourself, actually being there and being present, is incredibly validating. And at the core of people pleasing is a desperate seeking. You're looking for some source of validation. You're just seeking it from external people. That's the leftover from childhood. I want you to become the validator. I want you to become the one who validates yourself, who reassures yourself. And one way is by naming those feelings and getting to know them, being there for them. Another benefit is you're going to start to think with those words, so there's less of that harsh inner critic that goes on. But underneath those words is what we're looking for. I want you to tell me times where you felt that same collection of feelings. So you take your most recent people-pleasing moment. What were you feeling in that moment before you engaged in the people-pleasing behaviors? You're engaging in behaviors that are of a people-pleasing nature are a response. Feelings come up, you don't know what to do with it, off to the races running, let me try to please someone. Insecurities, concerns, nerves, worries, anxieties, fears, totally legitimate feelings. And what you see is also under those feelings are unmet emotional needs. I'm feeling unsure, insecure is, I'm really looking for security and reassurance. But the response is, let me go run and make other people happy. And then if they're happy, they'll be happy with you, right? And then the cycle just repeats and repeats and never really works for you. But that's what we're out for. That's what we're looking for. That's the real core over here, is that every moment you catch yourself people pleasing, it's you trying to seek reassurance, security, validation, very much that a young child would receive for a parent. You know, if as a small child, you had a lot of strong emotions and the parent would just give a hug or talk with you and allow you to feel, you would feel reassured, you would feel secure, you would feel allowed to feel. A lot of people don't grow up in an environment where they feel allowed to feel. And as a result, they're very unsure. There's a lot of instability and insecurity. And so you developed as a child a response to that. Everyone has something as a kid they're going through and an unmet need, and they develop some kind of response to trying to meet that need. Yours was people pleasing. So we want to use those moments in the present it's the same collection of feelings when we're engaging in people-pleasing behaviors, and then to start to realize, like, what is it that we're looking for? It's those, you'll see it's that insecurity, feeling rejected, fearful, worried, anxious. Put names to those feelings, and then ask yourself, when else have I felt it? And what about before then? And before then, see how far back you can go and try to catch a memory that had the same feelings in it. And then what you're looking at is a bunch of unmet emotional needs that you now need to start meeting. And that's what you're going to do, is by tuning into your own feelings and being aware of your own feelings. That daily practice, consistent practice, is going to help you build up a sense of worth and value. If you want more help with this, check out my website, zalmannelson.com. The daily practice over there helps guide you through this process of connecting to the emotions that are present when we're triggered, and connecting them then to unmet emotional needs with that clarity and awareness. And then you start building and developing, like workouts, connecting to yourself and validating yourself. When you have more of an internal ability to validate yourself and your self-worth, there's less and less fear, worries, nerves, and concerns. Is this person happy with me or not? Why didn't they smile at me the right way? we're not wrecked. People don't validate us. You're learning to validate yourself here. And if people are happy with you, great. And when they're not, it affects us, but it shouldn't affect you as much. This is how you learn to self-validate. Your people pleasing is this sign, this kid inside of you saying, am I good? Am I worthy? Am I okay? Am I safe? Am I loved? Am I valued? You need to answer that question. The answer is yes, of course you are. And that's got to come from you. And that's the benefit of realizing that the human being is two parts. There's an adult part inside of you and there's a kid part inside of you. That kid part is all you were for the first 13 years of life. And then 12 years, 13 years, and then this adult part starts to kick in. We're maturing, we're developing, we're becoming an adult. And now we have that ability to redo some of the things that we missed. That's called reparenting. This is called shadow work. This is working on where my anxious attachment came from. We have to then attach healthily to ourselves. And so the very moments that trigger our feelings of people pleasing and insecurity and validation become opportunities for us to show up and listen and tune in and connect and to really begin to heal. Then it becomes a whole lot easier to say what we really think and feel because you don't fear the rejection, right? You probably fear telling people what you really think and feel because then they may say no, or they may reject you, or they may turn away. And the truth is, if you work on this, I want you to get to a place where you're going to be you, and then you're going to watch how people respond. That's the opposite of people pleasing. People pleasing is there's no me, and I'm just going to try to throw myself at other people, make them happy. I want you to switch to a position of like, I know my worth, I know my value, I know I'm a good person. And I want you to remember that 7 to 9 out of 10 of the people you're going to meet in life are just not a match. They're just not a fit. And that's the same for you, for everybody on the planet. That doesn't make you bad. That's just normal and natural. And so this new approach is the flip, is I'm going to say what I think and say what I feel. And because I'm feeling more clear about my worth and my value, I'm less susceptible to being knocked out about you not liking what I said or rejecting what I said. I don't live in fear of, what if you don't like what I said or reject what I said. And that struggle to have boundaries, to say no when we want to say no, that old place you fall into of ignoring yourself and then throwing yourself at other people. I want you to start practicing this and working through. Then it gets much easier to have boundaries, to say no, I can't do it today, try me tomorrow, right? And then what's going to happen is people will respond to you in a way that's positive and reassuring and go, great, this is someone I can continue to connect with. Other people won't. Other people say, how dare you have needs and wants? What's going on over here? And that's a sign that they're not for you. That's that practice. You need a source of validation. And that source of validation will continue to be external. You will continue to throw yourself at other people until you develop yourself as a source of validation. I'm good, I'm worthy, I'm valued. And I want you to be able to talk to yourself this way and to practice that. And it's going to start with showing up for yourself and being there for emotions. The same practice that's going to show you and teach you where this all came from and what's underneath this people-pleasing response. To connect to those feelings is also going to put you in touch with those long unmet emotional needs that didn't get met and that you still have and still need to get met, but you're going to be the source of meeting them. Now I want to talk in the positive over here, because the people pleaser, when you start to work through this and increase your inner sense of validation, ability to validate yourself, what's left, you are an amazing person. There's something absolutely incredible about you that's off the charts. Your ability to be sensitive and tuned into other people is off the charts. It's unbelievable. You just need to allow yourself to do that more to yourself. But that ability to be aware of other people. The other thing is that there's a part of you that when you choose it, right now you're not choosing it. It's the default. Anytime you feel unsure of your worth, your value, anytime there's some discomfort, fearing conflict, they're going to reject me, you slip into this mode. I'm going to throw myself away. I'm going to jump in. I'm just going to I'm going to ignore myself, throw myself away, and be there for you and try to make you happy and say whatever it is that I think will make you happy. It never works. We can only know what we think and feel and then share it confidently and then wait and see how people respond. But the flip is, once you start to heal that, once you develop yourself as a source of validation, and of course you can enjoy getting validation from the people who show up for you, and you're definitely going to want to, let's say, take a step back from some of the relationships of people who are angry that you now have feelings and needs. But you have this ability, when you choose, to put yourself aside and totally be present for somebody else because you choose to do it. You're able to do that on an incredibly high level, and the people in your life are really lucky. Those are some of the benefits, but jump in. People pleasing is going to lead you to being this incredible, sensitive, aware person in a relationship, but the core of it is that you've got to start showing up for you. Same way you show up for other people. The core is to make yourself the priority, make yourself the top priority, and be there for your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own emotions consistently and regularly.